Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Terraria tutorial. Hopefully everyone is enjoying 1.4 as much as I am. This update honestly is great. Amazing job, Relogic. So I thought I would get this video out to you guys as soon as possible because I am in fact going to show you how to get the new final sword in Terraria, the Zenith. So the crafting recipe for the Zenith is actually pretty involved and expensive, so I will do my best to show you how to logically craft the sword in sort of the normal progression that you would in the game. So funny enough, the first item you will need to craft the Zenith is actually the copper short sword. Obviously, when you make a new character, you will just start with a copper short sword, but if for some reason you threw yours away or just don't have one, it can be crafted at an anvil for 7 copper bars. The next item you are likely to get for the Zenith is going to be the Blood Butcher. So the Blood Butcher can be crafted once again at an anvil for 10 Crimtane bars. You can get Crimtane by simply mining the ore or defeating a boss such as the Eye of Cthulhu or the Brain of Cthulhu. Once again, the next item you will most likely get for the Zenith is the Blade of Grass. This one is a little bit trickier for newer players because it does require you to go into the jungle and actually kill some hornets. So it can be crafted once again at an anvil for 12 jungle spores and 12 stingers. The jungle spores can be found just lying around in the jungle, and as previously mentioned, the stingers can be obtained from hornets. Now the order of the next sword you get for the Zenith may be a little bit weird because there are actually some swords that you can't craft but rather have to just loot from chests in the world. So those being the Muramasa, which can be obtained from the gold chest in the dungeon, or a Star Fury, which can be obtained from the chests on Sky Islands. The other sword I guess I can kind of group with those other swords I just mentioned is the Enchanted Sword. It can just randomly be found sticking out of a stone anywhere in the world or in one of the Enchanted Sword shrines that you find on the surface. The final sword you are likely to get right before hard mode is the Fiery Greatsword. The Fiery Greatsword can be crafted at any other anvil, requiring 20 Hellstone bars, which can be mined in the underworld. So once you have obtained all of those swords, the next step I recommend you do is go to a Crimson or Demon altar, depending on what world you have, and craft the Knight's Edge. That is why we got these 4 swords here, just to craft the Knight's Edge. You will need this later in hard mode. Moving on to the next swords in the progression for the Zenith, we have the Excalibur. Now you can craft the Excalibur at a Mithril Anvil for 12 hollowed bars. The way you get hollowed bars is by defeating any of the 3 mechanical bosses. In my opinion, the next easiest sword to get is the Seedler. The Seedler is got simply by killing Plantera, and it has a chance of dropping it. Now the swords from here on out are a little bit more challenging to get than the ones we have so far mentioned, so I will start with, in my opinion, the easiest one, the Influx Waver. So the Influx Waver is actually dropped by the Martian UFOs in the Martian event. And for those of you who do not know, the Martian event can be triggered by finding a Martian probe wandering your world and simply just aggro it. It will fly up into the sky and then the Martians will invade. You will kill these saucers that randomly have a chance of appearing in that event, and you have a chance of getting this sword. The next sword on the list is in fact the Horseman's Blade. So the Horseman's Blade is dropped from the Pumpkins in the Pumpkin Moon event, which is summoned by using a Pumpkin Medallion, which can be crafted at a Mithril Anvil. So our last 2 swords here are actually from the same spot, that is the Meowmere and the Starwrath. Both of these swords can be obtained from simply killing the Moonlord, and it has a chance of dropping either of the swords. Now our last and final step in crafting the Zenith is actually making a couple more swords that require the Broken Hero Sword. So Broken Hero Swords can be obtained from solar eclipses. They are dropped randomly from any enemy, but I recommend going after the Mothrons as they have a much greater chance of dropping them. So finally, like I said, our last step here is actually going to be going ahead and crafting a true Excalibur that is crafted from the Excalibur we got earlier and 1 Broken Hero Sword. We also need a true Knight's Edge, which is crafted from a Knight's Edge and a Broken Hero Sword, and then finally combine those 2 and make the Terra Blade. So now we are actually done and ready to craft the Zenith. So if you go to a mithril anvil with all of these swords we just went over, you will see you can in fact craft the Zenith. So I have taken off all of my damage adding accessories, so it does have a base damage of 190. I have never used this sword in game, so let's go ahead and try it out. We actually did get a very good reroll for the godly. So I thought now that we have crafted this sword, it is time to do a little bit of damage testing and possibly trying it out on some bosses. So I have never actually used this sword in game and I'm really excited to see what it does. So let's go ahead here and give it a couple swings on the target dummies. Okay, I have to say right off the bat, this is a very strange looking sword, but if you look at the damage per second up there, we are reaching almost 25 to 26,000 damage. Now keep in mind, I don't have any sort of damage adding accessories for melee, meaning if you had a full set of solar armor on and some other menacing accessories, you could deal a lot of damage with the sword, and I think that's exactly what I'll test now. Alrighty, so I have gone ahead and tossed on a set of solar armor, an Avengers emblem, and a warrior emblem, and now let's go ahead and see what type of damage we can do with this thing. Wow, that is almost 50,000 damage I saw there at one point, and this sword is just insane. Alrighty, so I went over to my arena really quickly just to see if we could try and get some damage tests on just a couple of the bosses. So this is going to be a damage test for the new enraged golem. And as you can see, it is absolutely obliterating it. That was pretty much no effort whatsoever and we melted that thing. Of course, we have to try it on the Eye of Cthulhu to see if we can actually one-shot it or how fast we can kill it. And yeah, it's insane. The final boss I thought I will go ahead and test this sword on is Duke Fishron, because he is a bit of a strange boss, but he does have a good amount of HP. And let's just go ahead and melt him in a couple seconds here. Actually taking a little bit longer than I thought, but we make, once again, pretty quick work of him. So yeah, I think at this point we can pretty much all agree this is definitely, rightfully, the best sword in the game. The damage this thing puts out is absolutely incredible, and I haven't actually confirmed this yet or not, but it does appear that the swords or projectile, whatever you want to call it, does actually have some sort of homing ability like you see there. So I think this sword not only has incredible range, but just does a ridiculous amount of damage and will pretty much melt anything you come across. So hopefully this tutorial was helpful for everyone that is trying to get this new sword. I give you luck in trying to get all of the materials in a timely fashion for this sword if you are just starting. But yeah, with that out of the way, I will be posting tons more 1.4 tutorials to make sure you guys can access all of this new content as soon as possible and how to do it effectively. So anyways, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.